Welcome, welcome one and all to yet another evening of Sim Racing. I'm Matthew Chuggy Williams, and I would like to welcome alongside me commentating here on round 8 of the GPVWC Formula Challenge World Championship. We have, as last time out in Canada in Montreal, Mr. Philip Morby. Say hello.
Hello.
And also joining us for this round is Mr. Tom Jacobs. Say hello, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome everyone to the A1 ring as we romantically know it, set in the Styrian Mountains in beautiful Austria, a track which has had a long history. Originally built in 1969 but had to be remodeled due to safety concerns in 1996. We are here to race at the 10-corner configuration which has seen all forms of motorsport compete upon it, from Formula 1 to DTM, and this evening and the next few nights it's of course going to be us here at the GPVWC. This track is unique as far as every single corner has some form of element of elevation change, be it inclines, going uphill, declines, or just going over brows of corners. So tonight is going to be a real test of driver, setup, and as a fast-flowing track, rewarding those with precise, fast driving styles. We've got two 18-lap races over this 4.3-kilometre circuit, and to add a little bit of added spice, we've got the rain involved. We've had some dry running, we've had some wet running, and at the minute we've entered qualifying. We've got a wet track to spice things up. So, Tom, as someone who raced here last year, what do you think will be going on in the drivers' minds as they prepare themselves to set their initial qualifying lap times?
Well, last year in qualifying it was around about the same conditions, not as wet, it was just mostly the track was damp at the start and then dried out. Now we're seeing the track when it's at 15%, it was at 20% at the start of the session, which means wet tyres, round about the kind of crossover point for wets. But now it's dropping. I think people have decided to go on to options. I can see that Roy Virgil is on a lap on option tyre, or the slick tyres. He's just gone off as well, down at turn 3.
Indeed, it's a little slippy still in places.
Yeah, so they're going to have to be very careful because we've got gravel traps, and the speed that you take some of these corners, if you lose the back of the car, you go off into the gravel, and the gravel doesn't slow you down. It just makes you bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce, and then you will hit, as Virgil gets a bit sideways again, you will hit a barrier, and that could terminally damage your car.
Indeed, and one thing also to bear in mind, of course, everyone perhaps expecting some drier conditions, but also seeing a lot of understeer in some of these corners. Brazil there just going around the Niki Lauda curve, and a little bit of understeer. We've seen quite a few cars do that, so it's going to be interesting to see who can conquer the conditions and make the most of their setups. Of course, this is Parc Ferme. These cars' setups are now locked well and truly till, well, the start of race 2, warm up there. So, we are just getting our initial lap times in here from various drivers. Currently P1 with a 1 minute 23.6 is David Yunt after a strong session last time out in Canada. We'll get to a recap of that a little bit later. Followed by Ollie Pelkonen and Jonathan Holmes for Tanskanen. Tanskanen are current constructors leaders as we come into this 8th round of the championship. So Phil, any thoughts? Obviously we were at Canada last time out. What are you expecting here at the A1?
I'm wondering actually at the moment, as we're looking at qualifying, point at which we say they usually go to slicks is usually about 15-20%. I mean, I'm wondering if people are worth trying to put a set of wets on, get a banker lap in. We're seeing a large range of time. I mean, the spread is currently 11 seconds, which is very high considering like it's a very short circuit. The other thing I want to kind of mention this evening is, like I said, the bumps. Not only kind of up and down, like missing a few corners and the crest, but the exit here of the last corner. There's a nice little bump, which you've taken about second gear, which can mess the car up a little bit, make it a bit unsteady. Also, as you go into sector 3, we're flicking from 3rd into 4th. You just got a long left-hander, and there's a little pink right, with just a little bump afterwards, which can unsettle the car. And it'll be interesting to see if how hard suspension, soft suspension. What would you go for, Tom, in this kind of setup, this track?
Oh god, I've just seen a massive smash. I was just spectating Paul Joseph there. There's a massive smash with, let me just rewind, I think it might have been Sam Jones. But, yeah, as you were saying, Phil, with the suspension changes, last year the track was really bumpy, and I think we had to go with very soft suspension to kind of counter the bumps. It didn't work. You could still feel them, and it still shook the fillings out of your teeth. But softer suspension, a higher ride height, and I also think a little bit less of the rear anti-roll bar, making it a little bit looser. That is what they'll probably be going for this round. Of course, with the track being wet as well, the higher ride height should help them not bottom out and aquaplane.
Indeed. And actually, one thing I'd just like to mention, we have talked in previous rounds about circuits having very different characteristics. Here at the A1 ring, we've got 2 very fast sectors and 1 sector which is quite considerably longer. Sectors 1 and 3, very quick. We're talking sub 20 seconds to complete those. Meanwhile, the second sector, 40 or so seconds. I was able to do it in about 43 in the dry conditions on a default setup. And well, with rain, that's of course going to get ever slower. So it's going to be interesting to see if people focus on putting plenty of downforce on the car, see if they can get a little more pace through those corners, or if they're going to go with low wing and try and optimise in those first, on the first and last sectors. Anyway, as qualifying is now moving into well past its 9th minute here, we've got a little bit of action as far as the top 10 at least to go. Jesper Tolberg has now taken provisional pole position with a 1:21.5. The track is getting drier by the minute. He is followed by Mike Schroten in the Racing Team Schroten car, followed by Scott Beresford. Now, Scott was the championship leader, or co-championship leader, along with James Johnson going into Canada. But my oh my, what a bad round for both of those drivers. Both not scoring points in those in those 2 races at Montreal, and now as a result they're down in 4th and 5th positions in the drivers' titles respectively. There, again showing that consistency is the key here in sim racing and real motorsport, of course. So, just observing here, Scott is just leaving the pit lane. He's got a nice set of brand new option slick tyres, and you can actually see there's a very visible dry line appearing on the track. It is still raining, but with 30 or so cars driving around, pounding around, setting times, the track will slowly start to dry up as drivers complete more laps, as we've got 7.5 minutes remaining of this session.
Seeing a lot of traffic at the moment as well. Just kind of mentioning being a very relatively short circuit. There's a few cars tripping over each other here and there. Hopefully they can pull over and set a lap all timed out. As it is slowly getting dry, we could have a case of the person on the kind of last lap as trying to hit 0. It'll be entertaining at the end.
Indeed, always get that lap in when the track is at its most driest in these situations. Down to it's getting drier by the lap, I would say, but we'll have to see if the rain picks up or not. It may be a case, as you say, drivers have put those nice safe banker laps in on wets. They go out now on the dries and push the car full out. They terminally damage their car. That is it, though, for qualifying for them. So it's very much a case of risk reward. Now, more changes at the top of the times. We now have Petter Burlak having set the fastest time, a 1:20.6. Merrick Strahan only a tenth, less than a tenth behind him with a 1:20.7. And just a tenth behind him is Jesper Tolberg. So both Smile Power racing cars in the top 3 there. So good results so far from them. And we've got James Johnson. James Johnson very quick in the practice session just before qualifying here in mixed conditions just like this. He's got a solid P4 at the moment with 1:21.1, a good 2 tenths. A little bit of safety there from Paul Joseph. So a good time there actually from Paul Joseph in these mixed conditions. And as we were mentioning a second ago, we've got some issues here with traffic. And actually, I would hasten to guess at least 20 or so cars are in the second sector right now. It is the longest sector by a little way, but still quite congested. I'm sure everyone will be tripping over themselves, as we just mentioned a second ago.
A few drivers trying to get slipstream as well here and there, which obviously you've got a few long straights. Obviously you've got the start finish straight, then turn 1 going towards turn 2. Then you've got a couple that will kind of give you in sector 2 and sector 3, which will be a bit of time, but it's where do you think actually the most time can be lost around this circuit, Tom?
Most time, I would say the second sector, because you've got the turn 3 downhill right-hander, which is all close to a hairpin, which then leads on to the double left-hander in the middle of the sector. I mean, the first left-hander, if you can't get the exit wrong, you run onto the curb, you can risk the car bottoming out and spinning on the curb. And if you also brake too late into the second left-hander, you can compromise your exit out onto the little right kink, which brings you up the hill. You can lose speed, and that's where you lose your time.
Yes, as always, it will be a case of trying to optimise attack against a little bit of, say, conservative, getting the car stopped, slowed down, and try and get it as quickly as possible out the next corner. But as we're just seeing, Mike Schroten, currently our P1 or pole sitter, he just had a moment there coming out of the power horse curve. That's turn 6. Pushing even in these drying conditions ever still catching a few drivers out there. But as we were saying a second ago, he might have actually positioned himself here once all the traffic passes in such a way that he might be able to get a nice lap time in a few moments, perhaps even the last one across the line. We'll have to wait and see.
I have just seen how that incident occurred, and it was exactly as I said. He ran out wide onto the curb and just lost the rear of the car.
Exactly, and of course, the track may be dry, the racing line may be dry, but who knows what those curbs will be like, who knows what the white lines will be like. As
goes fastest.
Indeed, with a lovely 1 minute 20.1 as we now enter our final 4 minutes here of qualifying. So it's still all to play for. So, and we still have a little bit of movement up and down the field as well, as drivers are coming around to complete their laps here. We just have 3.5 minutes as we're now progressing here. Drivers perhaps thinking about grabbing some fresh tyres, emptying that fuel tank right out, as we've got a real bunch of cars here, just leaving turn 3, heading down towards turn 4. We've got, I think that's Warren in there, a whole bunch of cars. Well, looks at all slipstreaming one another, and that may benefit them in sectors 3 and 1, but I'm sure that they will have a few issues here as they go through sector 2, just trying to be careful not to take off a wing and compromise anyone that's qualifying.
So we had 2 cars that hadn't done a lap, Liam Glockton and Ben Hackson. Liam Glockton's just done a 1:22.8. That puts him currently 27th, and we've got 34 drivers with first time at the moment.
And as drivers are continuing to circulate here, it was indeed Ben Warren, I was just looking at a second ago. He's got James Kirk and Victor Silva just ahead of him. Kirk and Silva very close together. Perhaps a little bit of cooperation there, just trying to cancel out any downforce they've got to try and get a slightly quicker time. As we have another change in oh, and look at that, as I'm starting to start my sentence here, things are so dynamic at the moment. We did have Dovidas Polaris set a new fastest lap with a 1 minute 19.9, and that was just beaten by 48 thousandths by Petter Burlak. Petter continuing to show some dominant form here in Formula Challenge. So, as we're now entering our final 2 minutes here, we're just going to ride on board. As Tolberg has now gone quicker. All change as the track's getting drier and drier. Evidently, some of these drivers who may have gambled on perhaps running a dry setup, hoping that there won't be any more rain, track's perhaps coming to them a little bit more, and evidently the time is coming as we go on. And of course, the track, although I'd be sceptical to how much warmer it may be getting in these conditions, but of course, more cars driving around it. A little more rubber, a little more heat may just make those tyres work a little bit better. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, you talking about the track temperature and the wetness, the track is currently 21 degrees Celsius. The wetness is staying at 6%. It's been like that for the past 3-4 minutes, but the wetness off the racing line has dropped from 16% down to 12%.
So drying all the time here. And now we've got another change at the top. We still have Jesper Tolberg in P1 here, but now got him joined by Eric Strand. So the Smile Power guys really enjoying these mixed conditions here at the A1 ring. Petter Burlak now knocked down all the way down to 3rd, which really isn't a long way, but for Petter, I'm sure he'll be pushing every inch to try and get that pole position back.
So Polaris in the pits at the moment, so he's not going to go any faster. We've got 40 seconds remaining.
And we've just got some drivers, looks like they're trying to start their next few laps, but as our wonderful, as always, cameraman Lewis Redshaws has informed us, apparently it is starting to rain a little heavier and the wetness will be going up. So, in the case of if anyone's got their dry tyres up nice and warm, they may be able to get a quick lap in, but if it does rain a little bit too much, you never know, this might be it. So anyway, on laps we have at the minute, we have Scott Beresford currently in P5 with a 1 minute 20.1. He's just coming around the Power Horse curve, love that corner name, and he's coming through turn 7 here, which is louder. Decent line there, not too much understeer, so evidently the car's working nicely for him as he heads up into sector 3 here, over this little rise. You've got to brake really late and try and get as much speed as possible through that corner there. That's called Jochen Rindt, turn 9. Then down into this pretty deceptive looking tight right-hander, that's called A1. and trying to blast the power down to get across the line. And Scott did just go quicker there, but he hasn't gained a position. So that's the end of his qualifying for him. He's currently P5.
Looks like Smart Power have got a 1-2 at the moment. Just seeing are they on laps at the moment. I believe they are. We've got Jesper Kohlberg just coming around the final corner. Let's see, is he going to go any quicker? 1:19.843 at the moment. 1:19.791.
So just a little bit, but everything counts. You never know what might happen. The track's actually getting a little drier again, so who knows what's going on with the weather. Always playing its hand in devilish young or different ways. I believe Strawn is on a lap. He's just coming down through the power horse curve. This is going to be my favourite corner by the end of this, I swear. Nice and tidy through there. He's currently P2. Can he improve? Perhaps steal that glory from Jesper? We'll have to wait and see. Jesper again had a very good showing in Montreal.
Ooh, David Junt's just gone into second place.
Oh, we're here. He could have got pole position. There may have been a slight, impeding issue.
He
We will
slightly
see.
held up by, I think that was Ben Horrell.
Ooh, never good, especially when in a hot lap, but still a good position to start in, and he's just a little bit quicker there than Strawn. And that is it. Everyone has completed their lap. Who can complete their lap? Our top 10 are as follows. We've got Jesper Tolberg, followed by David Junt, Eric Strawn, Petter Burlak, Dovidas Polaris, Scott Beresford, James Johnson, Mike Troughton, Jonathan Holmes, and rounding out our top 10 is Roy Verzilli. So, that was qualifying. We weren't expecting the rain, at least in practice,
wow.
and,
You've seen the rain now.
we've seen the rain now. It's got ever wetter still. We're now up well into, 26% wetness, as we'll call it, on track. I'm sure a few drivers will perhaps not be too pleased by that. We'll have to wait and see who's been thinking about perhaps a wet race. Tom, where would your head be if you were going to go out on track right now?
I was just about to say, I'm kind of thinking back to Monza last year. It started off really wet, and it was wet weather territory, but the track was drying out, and it turned out that the person who won started on slicks and spent the first lap and a half sliding all over the place, but because they didn't need to do a pit stop when the track did dry out, they were 10 seconds ahead by the end of the race. If someone can do that, and if the weather's on their side, then we could see someone from the back of the grid go ahead and win this.
It's a possibility, certainly, and of course, perhaps the main issue, though, if you do have slick tyres, is getting temperature in them. But, as you say, if you can survive those early laps while the tyres are just a little bit cold, not quite up to temperature, I'm sure that they'll be able to make some inroads, as perhaps we have some tyre decisions. We saw this only last week in the ITC round we had at Russian Ring, where we had rain in the third race, and we had a variety of tyre strategies going on. With cars, well, yourself, Tom, doing incredibly well, charging up the order, having picked the right tyre at the right time, and, well, nearly taking the win there.
Oh, you're making me blush, man.
Oh, well, there you go. Anyway, sorry.
It is going to be about the right tyre at the right time. Which one do you go for? I mean, you said where will my head be? I'd definitely be using this warm-up session to see how the weather reacts to people on track and what you'd expect would happen in the race.
Indeed. And of course, it is parc fermé conditions. The setups the drivers will have set their times on are locked. You can change a few things like brake pressure, things like you can change your front wing, but the vast majority of their setup will now be locked. So if anyone has drink. If anyone has set themselves up on a dry setup, making that gamble, they may be regretting that now. Have to wait and see. But of course, we do have a choice of tyre.
Yeah, I was just about to say, should we do a bit of a drinking game? I have drink with me, as you probably just heard on the broadcast.
Oh dear. Of course, you're yes. I think we should mention Open Series. Yes, Phil. What is the result there?
So, it was an interesting race. It started on 15% wetness and slowly got drier, which didn't work in the hands of Van der Wood, who started in 6th place but elected to start from the pit lane on a wet setup. Sadly, didn't work out for him. It did work out for Bruno Sousa Ferrer, who started on pole and managed to, having lost a few places at the start, came back to win the race. Andreas Waters came in second, started second. Thomas Lappstubben, Sadly didn't finish, having started from third on the grid. And Sven Smith started fifth and made a couple of places up to third. A few issues. I think we had about 12 starts and 8 finish. But quite entertaining to watch at which point it kind of hit on that 18-lap race as it got drier and drier. I suppose we also should talk about penalties.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We do have, unfortunately, some penalties from Canada which need to be applied, so let's run through those.
So, Ben Hackerson and Richard Coxon are having to start from the back of the grid due to escaping on circuit and then returning to track during qualifying at Montreal. There were a couple of warnings for excessive blocking to Sandeep Prabha and James Johnson, plus a warning to Jonathan Holmes for avoidable contact. In terms of penalties for this race, the only one we're looking at is Roy Verzil for avoidable contact in race 2, giving him a 10-place grid penalty. Now, I think he was starting 10th, so I think he goes down to 20th, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And then a couple of 20-second penalties for Terence Gretsch and Sandeep race 2. But only one penalty to worry about in this race. So that puts Roy right really in the midfield at a circuit which you don't really want to be in the midfield given the weather.
Did you say about Ben Hackerson and Richard Coxon?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right at the start. But
sorry, I do apologise. My head's in a different place.
well, yes, you've got a kind of hot drink, and you're rather enjoying it.
I just remembered one thing that we have forgotten so far.
What is that?
That you can contact us on Twitter if you have anything you'd like to share. You can tweet us at using the hashtag GPVWC or at our official Twitter accounts, I'd say, at GPVWC, or you can tweet me my personal one at Tom Jakes.
Indeed, and Tom is going to be keeping an eye on the Twitters for us as this race unfolds. We've got weather involved, we've got drivers in some degrees out of position. We are going to have some fun, and especially with turn 1 being uphill and a tight right-hander, who knows what's going to happen. So I'm sure that there's going to be talking points aplenty, so feel free to chime in as the racing occurs, and we'll get to some of those at the halfway intermission between races 1 and 2. The drivers are just completing their final laps here in warm-up. No idea what the weather's going to be like. Wait and see. So we are now in the race session. It is raining, but it's not as wet as it was in warm-up, so I'm sure some drivers are going to be glad of that. We've got drivers going out to grid at the moment. We've got two 18-lap races, plus obviously the formation lap. I'm sure more often than not the drivers will be trying to get a good eye in on this formation lap of what the track conditions are like.
So the wetness has already gone from 20% online to 19%. And it's interesting to see what drivers are looking at taking wet. I think most of them have changed back to dry. We've got Ollie Pelton on the wet, and his kilos.
I'm looking towards the back, and Pestov's.
Yeah,
indeed.
We've already lost one person, Davidus Polaris.
Indeed, it looks like he hasn't been able to. Like he hasn't been able to connect, which is a great pity. But yes, as you were saying, 3 drivers have gambled with wet compound tyres. Who knows? I'm sure off the start they will have plenty of grip, but we'll have to wait and see how things chime out. Anyway, let's run through our starting order here. If I take the first chunk, Bill, you take the second, Tom take the third?
Is it divisible by 3? I think there's 34.
Ah, well, we'll have to sort it as we go. I'll do the top 10 anyway. So, starting P1, we have Jesper Tolberg for Smile Power. In P2 is David Yunt for THR. Eric Strand starts in P3. Petter Burlak for Walk Racing starts in P4, followed by Scott Beresford in the Enterprise GP car. James Johnson leads the Tanskin Racing cars in P6. Mike Schroeter is in P7 for Racing Team Schroeter. And Jonathan Holmes comes in with the second Tanskin Racing car in P8. Lewis McLean, in a great effort in the Aurora Motorsports car, starts in P9. Ben Horrell has been promoted up to P10 in the Cosmo Autosport car. And Phil, do you want to take it on from P11?
Yeah, I'm just going to point out Lewis starting to pick in P9. So from P11, Ben Warren has hit the wall. He's gone off. The Racing Team Schroeter, as I turn to him. P12, Hansco Mebius, Enterprise GP. 13, Ollie Pelkman, Viking Racing. Paul Joseph, P14 for Royal Blue Racing, with James Kirk Vasovic in 15th. Mark Wicks in 16th place for Canton Motorsports. Tinanian for THR, 17. Nichols, 18th for BRT. Roy Virgil down to 19th, Cedric Racing. And Sam Jones, 20th for Motorsports.
Oh, am I doing the final 14 then?
Yes, please.
Okay, 21st is Adam Oscar for YTF1. 22nd is Victor Silva for Team Proline. 23rd is Timu Toika for Velocity Racing, with Rob Mason in 24th for the other YTF1. 25th is Dave Van Gils with Team Proline. Lee McLaughlin in the, I think it's the only play seat here in 26th. Ben Willis for Night Racing is in 27th with Justinus Rebellis.
Oscar. Oscar's off at the moment.
I hope I got that right. And someone say Willis was off?
Oscar has just gone off there.
Okay. For what racing? Simon Smith, backmark upgrade 29th. Ollie Woods 30th for Velocity Racing. I'm going to do this quick. Rick Scott 31st for JRT. Richard Coxon for 32nd for Cosmo. Andreas Pestovs, Zederick Racing 33rd. And Ben Hackson 34th for Viking.
Right, well timed. Here we go. The lights are on. 5 lights. Who's going to get away well? We are racing, and Junt has a stormer. Tolberg bogs down on the line, and it goes Strawn past him. So a disaster for Tolberg as they run up towards turn 1. Dream spot for David Junt there. As we've got Peter Burlack looking at Tolberg as well. Let's see if they all get through turn 1 here. Oh, we got a few contacts, a few slips and slides. Oh, we've got an Enterprise car going a bit sideways, and there's a wing.
There's quite a few off at turn 1. Didn't see who kind of caused that. We've got quite a few odd wings. McGlade's still waiting to go. Oh, McGlade is now off in 3rd to 4th place in the pits.
All change at the front. Now leading is Peter Burlack. He's had a stormer of a start up into P1. James Johnson follows him through, so he's taken advantage there. But look at the gap already that Petter has got as we head down now towards turn 4 for the first time. It's, well, quite considerable. I'd say half a second. There's a slight little stride there from Strawn. That's an unconventional way to overtake, but he's got it done, so fair play.
Yes, talking about that start, we did see a lot of people, the front runners, go very wide. I don't know if they would have gained advantage from that, but others following suit may have caused a big collision. I did see some front wings going off. I'm just having a look further back down the field. I think that is... Oh, it's Lewis McGlade who's out of the pits, but...
Indeed, Lewis McGlade rejoining, obviously starting in the pits, perhaps anticipating some carnage, and he's, well, we'll be able to recover from there. We've got currently Coxon, who's just ahead of him, just off the pack. But anyway, Burlack is coming round now to complete his first lap of 18 here, and he's got a 1.7 gap to the next car, which is James Johnson. So a dream start from him there. But Johnson can't be too well, can't sit back on his heels. He's got Strawn right up his gearbox. Holm is going to be rear gunning from him from Yunt.
We have 4 people in the pits. We have Jack Nichols, Paul Joseph, Hansco Mebius, and Justinus Rebellis. And I also did see that Simon Smith went off at the penultimate corner. He got a little bit of a touch.
Yeah, Rebellis
from Rebellis, and went sliding off into the gravel, unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can get back on the horse. And a bit of a wiggle. Keep going, Simon, keep going. You know, at the back.
So the conditions proving challenging. The track is drying rapidly. We are down to 9% wetness from about 16 or so as we started this race just a lap and a half or so ago. Burlack continuing to look dominant, though his gap is down to 1.6 seconds now as we're just about to enter Sector 3 here for the second time. We'll have to see what his gap is now gone up or down to. It's actually decreased, so Johnson is on the march. It's now 1.4, so that's 2/10 through that middle sector there. And Burlack has gone wide, a little bit of oversteer, I'd hasten to say there, just in the wet condition. Well held though, not to lose the back of the car and end up backwards in the gravel trap there, which would have been a disaster this early in the race.
Indeed, and with him being the leader, he has no one to kind of be in front of him and kind of test the conditions. He's the tester. So
yes, indeed,
James Johnson and Eric Strawn directly behind can see what's going on and react depending on what happens to Petter.
I'm currently looking at Roy Berzel, who's started 19th and he's already into the points. He's at 14th place, tracking down Rob Mason in 13th. A bit of YTF1 guys together in 12th and 13th, and Roy's trying to right on the back of that train as they go into turn 2.
There we've got an interesting little scrap forming between Mike Schroten and James Kirk. James had a good start there, up from 15th or so, I believe, so that's a good 6 or so positions gain. And also good to shout out Ben Horrell in the Cosmo car. He's gone forward as well off that start, so making the most of it. Oh, James very late on the brakes there, just got it stopped.
Contact!
Conditions. Oh, contact. What
Sam Jones and Ollie Pecker. I thought it was on the James Kirk battle. I think, no, it wasn't his teammate. But I did see a bit of contact in turn 3.
Not ideal. Now, looking back at the front runners, Petter must have made another mistake. Johnson is right on his gearbox now as we enter Sector 3. That gap has gone from 7/10 to a mere 2/10 of a second as we go around Rinch one more time and down into the A1 corner, or A1 curve, to complete lap 3 here. I have a feeling this is going to be a battle which is going to brew and brew and brew. And don't forget, we've got Strawn just on Johnson's gearbox as well. So a three-way fight. Oh, Johnson very late on the brakes. Was that a touch there? Couldn't quite tell, but very close. You don't want to be getting that close. That could be
Rob Neeson down to 23rd there. He's tried getting the inside of Virgil from that little right-hander, and there wasn't really a gap there, and he's tapped off his front wing, I think.
Yes, he is missing his front wing. He's in the gravel. At least I think he's by the pit lane, so he can go and get that replaced.
Indeed, there's just a little gap. It looks like he's just made the most of that to
there
get
is
himself sorted.
a blocking. Oh no, he missed the entry just out. I was about to say that the pit lane was blocked, but he missed the entry.
I don't think we've had one of those situations so far this year, but by the looks of it, it's been resolved for us, which is always good. Anyway, as the race is now progressing, we've got Johnson. He's fallen off the back of Burlack just a little bit. We'll have to see how we are as we go through the power horse curve coming into Lauda. This is our fourth time. 2 tenths the gap still. Evidently, must have made a small error there on that second lap, as we still have spray coming up from the track. And, oh, actually, speaking of Johnson, he's under an attack now from Strawn in the Smile Power car. Johnson's going to have to be careful. Oh, a little moment there. He's definitely lost a bit of momentum. He may be vulnerable now as we go towards turn 1. Just depends about the exit here. Looks like he's got that nicely done. Has Strawn got the speed, though, as he got the top end? I would say at this point, no. I think this move is done and dusted. Let's focus on getting a really good exit here and attack him up into turn 3.
Just looking back at 4th, 5th and 6th, Holmes, Junt and Tolberg, I think they might be catching the first 3. And they're very close together. Between 1st and 6th is 3.8 seconds, with I think it's a 4-second gap back to 7th Mike Schroten.
Indeed, and we've got a little battle brewing here as well. So we have Horrell just being passed there by Kirk, quite nicely on the brakes, going up into turn 3, so nice move there around the outside. And
retirement, well, Mark Quick looks like he lagged out when straight on.
Yep, he's listed as an accident as time, so that's unfortunate. But having said this, we're almost a quarter of the way through this race, and we've only had 1 retirement, which, given the conditions, I think is a fairly good comment for all of the drivers here so far. So good stuff, guys. Burlack, our race leader, extending that gap just a bit now. It's up to 8 tenths, I guess, as Johnson's now considering his positioning of his car from Strawn, as we're just about to encounter our first lap traffic of the race. We've got Mason and I believe that's Woods just up ahead.
Actually, I think it's Horse Corner, your favourite. Oh no, Lauda.
Our horse.
Lauda. Rebellis was on the apex. Oh god, as I just see Dave Van Gils go flipping into the gravel there at Lauda.
Sorry to talk you over here, but David Yunt is having a cheeky little look up to turn 1 again. Holmes, looked like Holmes just being able to hang that around the outside. Little touch between tyres.
Van Giel has hit the anti-cut on the outside of the corner, and he's literally backflipped the car. Massive backflip.
That's saying something.
Jump on the inside of Holmes at turn 2.
A little tight there, but it was fair as there's no contact. As all this will be slowing off these 2 drivers down, of course, giving the chance to catch for the drivers behind. And we've now got lap traffic to navigate as well.
And Strawn and Johnson right behind. Strawn right behind Johnson, going for a move down in turn 3. Couldn't quite get the car side by side. Going round Power Horse.
Indeed, and Johnson's gone. Sorry to overtalk you there again, but Johnson just went wide there through Power Horse. He's gathered it together for Lauda, but Strawn is right on his gearbox. Burlack will be laughing all the way to Rint here as he's getting a bit of a breather. Strawn clearly got a bit of a faster car in these little mixed conditions. We'll have to see how this one plays out. Johnson is doing a superb job defending him, though. As it's always been said, it's one thing to catch, it's quite another to overtake. So we'll have to see how this one develops.
Hopefully no contact, otherwise I'll have to drink.
Virgil is currently up to 10th. He's got past Sam Jones. He's now hunting down James Kirk with the gap about 2.6 seconds. So
Indeed.
He really fancies a nice haul of points considering the penalty he had.
Exactly. All the more motivation to charge up the order, I'm sure. So we have to keep an eye on that as things develop.
Oh, Strawn third. Now into 2nd place. Johnson went wide at turn 2 and is given the position to Strawn.
Ooh. All change. In fact, a development in the Yunt and Holmes battle as well. Yunt now ahead up into P4. We'll have to see if he's got the ability to now bridge the gap up to Johnson and get a taste of a podium position here in race 1. We are a third through the race here on lap 6, so still plenty of time to make a move up and down the field.
Turkish Fun in P9, that let Roy go through, as well as a trio of other cars. That's Beresford, Oscar, and Jones. That's down to 13th at the moment.
Indeed, well recovered. And we saw a few laps ago, he was very late on the brakes down into turn 4, and evidently just caught him out there. It's dry it's the driest it's been so far in the race, but it is still damp out on track. So.
Tolberg's gone wide and he's flipped his car down into 6th position. He's flipped his car. He's off into the ground. He's hit the. He's out. He's lost his front left wheel.
That is quite an accident. Hopefully we can get a replay on that. That is quite incredible. So as they're coming over the brow of the hill here, following Holmes fairly closely, and it looks like he's just understeered and hit the anti-cut, and he's flown. How very unusual. Very unusual. So off he goes, and that is the end of his race. That is unfortunate. But as things go, this may make things a little easier for drivers to gain a few points, as we now have Scott Beresford. He was involved in the lap 1 lap 1 shenanigans. He's up into P9 now, so a few drivers benefiting there, as we have Verzilli just overtaking Schroep there. So
Sam Jones went off at turn 2. I'm just gonna have a look back.
It's getting wetter.
Well, looks like he just lost the. He lost it going around turn 2.
And yes, and Phil, yes, do comment on the weather.
Yes, it is slowly getting wetter. As he comes round, Oscar's going very slowly. I think he's got a problem. Oh no, he's just fun.
Yes, just hearing there was a spin there for him, and as I said, the rain is intensifying. So who knows what's going to play out? We're not halfway through yet, and the weather is playing its hand as we expected. We've now got a 10-second gap between P5 and P6. So evidently the leaders are making hay while the sun shines, or at least what of it does shine. Burlap now got that gap up to 2 seconds.
Who's that spinning?
So we have a spinner we hear. Just trying to find...
Sam Jones and Oscar spun, and I think someone else was included in that. It was Tuanoinen, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, was also involved in that.
Unlucky for those drivers, but there is race 2 yet, so it's not all over this evening. We've still got another 18-lap race, and we're only just about halfway through this one. So still time to recover. Johnson is still defending second place from Strawn, and Yunt seems to be bridging the gap ever so slightly, but he is pulling Holmes with him. And Strawn into Lauda, he's looking nice and aggressive. He has a little bit of an undercut there. Oh, they're side by side. Ooh. He's going to have to give him a bit of space there.
I'm classing that as a drink.
He's going to have the outside down into Rint, but it looks like Johnson's got that one covered for now. Can Strawn hold a title line? Yes, he can. Oh, and that's a lovely move done into A1. Lovely stuff. Strawn finally ahead. Can he keep the lead? We've got a lapped car here. We've got Rebellis, the walk racing car. This fight is not over. Johnson got superior top line speed. We've got a lapped car ahead of us. How's this one going to pay out? Johnson brave, late on the brakes. Back marker getting out the way nice and safely. Strawn's got a better exit though, as they would now run up towards turn 3 up this hill. Who's going to have the better gearing? We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile,
Johnson Holmes.
Indeed, they're catching all the time. They're loving it. They're going, we'll have this free bridge pass. Yunt looking nice and feisty. He's going to be late on the brakes. No! Decides to think better of it. Strawn, nice and tight there onto the apex, but Johnson gets the drive. These two still nose to tail as they head towards turn 4. Downhill, got to make sure you're on the brakes nice and early. And Strawn, he's having another look, just a little sighter. Can he cause Johnson just to have a brief moment to miss his braking point? This is an excellent scrap, is all I'm going to say now after having babbled for a few moments here. This fight is going superbly. Nice and clean, nice and feisty. Here comes Strawn again, up to Lauda. He's not quite alongside this time, so Johnson evidently wiser to that move. Yunt, though, is having a look, so I have to see how this one pans out.
Yes, as you were saying, Chuggy, to quote, I think it's Murray Walker, things are occurring. Oh, his junk gets a bit wiggly coming out of...
He may have tapped Strawn.
Did he tap Strawn? I don't think there was a tap.
Very close to him.
I think he might have just lost it going into... Is that Rint?
That is Rint.
Yes, he did lose the rear a bit. And,
fair enough.
Just a little move there. He's shuffled down one place in this order. Johnson, though, will be appreciative of that, because it means his rear gunner, Jonathan Holmes, his teammate, will be able to put a bit of pressure on Strawn, and hopefully he'll be able to make a bit of a gap. Meanwhile, Petter is just laughing all the way. He's now up to 4.6 second gap, so he is also making hay, or continuing
Johnson's right, Strawn is through!
Oh,
Strawn is through into second place. That's the second time that's happened to Johnson. He needs to kind of brake a little bit earlier, but I don't think he wants to let Strawn through under braking.
I mean, tyre wear may be an issue here. Of course, this may be a wet track, but tyre wear is still going to be a factor, so just a little bit of grip loss.
That was a beautiful move by Johnson around the outside of Strawn at
It was
turn 3.
indeed.
He's got the inside for a power horse.
Indeed.
Corner.
It
And
is a
Strawn's got the
fantastic
cutback.
corner.
Strawn's cutback. He's back through into second place.
This is fantastic stuff we're seeing between these two. And oh, hello, now Holmes is having a look. He's getting a bit feisty with his teammate. Possibly because Yunt is now feeling quite amorous and wants to have his fourth place back, thank you very much. So as we've now put it down to... Oh, yeah, all of this is benefiting Petter Barlak, and he's just driving away. He's now at 5.5 second gap. We go down into A1 to complete this lap. Strawn making a little bit of a break. We'll have to wait and see what happens here. I believe Petter has set the fastest lap so far of the race. So all go at the front, but let's have a look what's going on down in the midfield.
Well, we've got Rory Virgil all the way up to 6th. Obviously 19th, he's having a brilliant race. He kind of wonder what he could have done if he'd started higher out that penalty. We've got Lee McLaughlin and Goldberg. No, Lee McLaughlin.
Oh, Johnson spun it down at turn 2. He tried to go down the inside of Strawn under braking, and of course the wetness offline is greater than that online, and he's just spun at turn 2.
Another error up the hill there, and that's cost him. He's lost track of that leading group. So more developments at the front, but meanwhile, Phil, as you're saying, in the midfield.
Yep, we've got quite a few kind of 10th, 11th. Ben Hole and Schroten, 8th and 9th, very close to each other. Schroten's having a look down the inside. No, there's no gap there. 2 seconds between 14th and 15th at the moment for the last point.
Indeed, and that last point currently being occupied by Lee McLaughlin in the lone placey car. So well done, Lee. He's come through the field to get that, so good stuff. And yes, we've got a tasty battle here brewing between Horrell and Schroten. Meanwhile, James Kirk is not too far away. He's having a look. Perhaps just waiting for the opportune moment to jump over them. We'll have to wait and see. So we've got the field is slightly fragmented. We do have, however, a long train of cars going through turn 4 right now. We pretty much have, I'd say, 20th, maybe even 19th, all the way down to, I'd say, probably about 30th, maybe 27th, sorry. All almost in one long line. So there's a good scrap going on there, even though there aren't points involved. But still, fighting to the very end is what we like to see. So, meanwhile, Burlak still extending his lead up to 5.9 seconds now. Strawn trying to break away, but Holmes is having none of it. He's still following closely, and Yunt is also following closely behind them. Oh! I'll have to rephrase myself. Oh no, that's a timing issue. I do not rephrase myself. My eyes were correct the first time round. Wonderful. As I go through Power Horse, Yunt is still behind. Holmes. As they progress here through Lauda and up into Sector 3 one more time.
Of course, I think we've only got 5 laps remaining after Petter crosses the timing beam at the start-finish. I think that might be accurate. So with 5 laps remaining, I think Petter, unless he loses a second a lap, I think he might have this in the bag. But it's a straight fight for second now between Strawn, Holmes, and Junt.
Indeed, and as you were saying, that Petter actually just set the fastest lap of the race. As the wetness has now gone down to 1% online, so it's effectively dry, and 8% off. So dry conditions. Perhaps some of these cars are just set up dry.
Inside for turn 2. Oh, he's got a bit wiggly. And Strawn might. Oh, he's got the run out of turn 2.
Indeed.
Side by side.
Long straight section here. Keep flat out. We'll have to see. Yep, Strawn pips in. He's going to have a peek out, is he? Oh, he has a look. He hasn't put his nose down the side there.
Just gone, I think, a bit wide. He got a bit onto the off the racing line, and that just kind of unsettled the car going into turn 3.
Indeed, Strawn's got a better exit. He's got to try around the outside at Power Horse.
He's on the grip. He's on the racing line. He's got the grip.
Lovely around the outside there. Very good.
Holmes is going to have to be very careful because Junt is just looking for any opportunity he can find.
Absolutely. Very close. Very fair racing. These cars split by less than 0.4 of a second right now. Never say die attitude between these guys. That's what we like to see as they go through A1 one more time across the start finish to start their 14th lap of 18.
Trying to find where some racing going on. We've got Lee McLaughlin up to 13th. and he's tracking down the likes of Timu Toika and Silver, who are in 12th and 11th, effectively. Only a few seconds between them.
Yeah,
So
indeed, actually, Timu Toika is right behind Silver there, coming out of Lauda.
Let's see what he can do with this as they go towards second to last corner. No, nothing too silly.
Nice and sensible there. And we've got action again. Holmes is ahead of Strawn as they go out of turn 3 down towards turn 4. Let's see, can Strawn get a lovely move around the outside? No, he's had enough of that. Turn 4, thank you very much, Mr. Holmes. Will Yunt be able to capitalise? Yes!
Can you get the traction down on the... Oh, he's been run out onto the off line. He's on... Oh, he's got it. That's a lovely manoeuvre. Braking late. He's got the grip on the racing line. Holmes had to back out on the wet track. And that's 4th position for Holmes, 3rd for John.
Indeed.
Is he going to slipstream towards second place, is the question.
He's right on his gearbox already. He's already having a look into Yunt.
Oh, that's touch! Drink!
Contact. That was always going to be a slightly closing gap. Thankfully, both of them are still running, and somehow Yunt has been able to gather that all in and still maintain second place, so I'm sure he's going to be vulnerable up the hill here into turn 1 as they complete their 15th lap here. He goes defensive to cover the line, and that's job done for now. I'm sure, though, that Holmes will get a better exit and slipstream up to turn 4. Let's see how this one pans out. A brief sweep right, a brief sweep left, and then uphill. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? We're about to find out. Looks like Holmes has just got straight line speed, so he doesn't have to worry. Oh, Yunt has put it nicely on the apex, though. He's made it difficult. Still side by side. Oh, no, they've tucked in behind one another, so they're going to have a look at turn 4, potentially. Yunt having a very wise race in Canada. He won race 2 because of some very, very wise and sensible driving. Let's see if he applies the same logic here. He's got a better exit out of turn 4 there as they come towards Power Horse for one more time, but it looks like he's just not close enough.
So I think I just saw Silver pit, which Liam McLaughlin up to 12, and he is 5 seconds behind Toika in 11th. James Kirk, top 10. How far is he? 7 seconds to Oscar. So there's not really... 7th and 6th, Beresford and Verza was a close one.
Yes, that's a good spot. Very close, in fact. They're just exiting Lauda, just passing some lap traffic there. Verzil having a little run onto the grass just to remind himself what that feels like, and down into Rint. So I can see how this one develops as we are entering our final stages of our race here. This could be a developing battle for P6 and 7, of course, points at stake here. Meanwhile, Burlak continues to have a lovely Tuesday evening drive. He's up to 8.1 seconds, passing some back markers, just leaving turn 3 there. If we look back towards our fight here for second, Strawn has bridged a gap, interestingly enough. He has been able to make a bit of a hay while the sun shines from Holmes, while he scraps with Yunt, all fighting, of course, over that final podium position. Meanwhile, I hasten to say, it looks like Johnson is actually gaining on this fight, so we'll have to see how this one goes. Oh, and we're just hearing that Verzil and Beresford had a collision of some form, going up
to
turn 3, it must be. Get a replay,
that'd
be brilliant.
Verzil, yeah, going up towards... he kind of dived... I think he locked up and then somewhat dived down the inside and just kind of slid into him. To be fair to Verzil, I think, yep, he has given the place back.
Very gentlemanly, so as well. May compromise the fight for the points a little bit, but more importantly, they're both still running. Both will score good points if they reach the end. So, of course, we hope they do. Still got some lap traffic to negotiate there. Meanwhile, the fight for 3rd and 4th is still raging. Oh, we just heard that Rick Scott down in 15th. Thank you very much, Mr. Cameraman, has spun out. He's all the way down to 80th. So close were the drives there. As we see, I think there's a backmarker brigade car just exploring the banking up at the top turn 3.
Like he was trying to dive down the inside of Sinanin, who missed his braking point and went on anyway. And he kind of spun out of guilt, I think, kind of making Sinanin brake so late. So he's currently 18th. He could still get points. 3 cars in front of him, only 3 seconds apart.
Still all going on there. Anyway, as we now cast our eyes back up towards the leaders, we have Johnson in P5. We have Yunt, who's still close behind Holmes for P3, but I don't think it'll be done in this lap, who's only just behind Strawn himself. But meanwhile, we have Burlak coming out of Lauda for the final time here in race 1, about to enter Sector 3, as he's driven a superb race. He made that break early on in the start. He was able to get a nice gap built up. He had a few moments, but he kept his head calm, he kept himself cool, and he's now coming around the A1 corner for the last time in race 1 to win brilliantly the first race of round 8 here in Austria at the A1 ring. Congratulations, Petter. Now let's see how the rest form.
Traffic, a lot of traffic coming over the line.
Strawn takes second from Holmes, from Yunt. A great fight there, very fair, is what we like to see. And Johnson has come home in 5th place. Beresford, a good recovery drive from what looked to be a pretty hairy moment in turn 1 on lap 1, who's going to come home here in 6th place. A good result, getting points on the board just behind his rival Johnson there for positions 4 and 5 in the driver's title. Verzil, a great drive from P20, finishing in 7th. Who wants to go from 8 onwards?
I'll let Tom do that.
Oh, thanks. Mike Schroten, 8th, with Adam Osger in 9th. James Kirk, after I think he had a bit of an issue early on in the race, is in 10th, with Timu Toika 11th. Lee McLaughlin for place seat 12th. Ben
Just going to cut over you there because Silva and Mebius are fighting each other into the last corner. We've got Mebius in 16th, Silva in 15th at the moment. It's going to be a slipstream to the end. Is he going to be able to do it? Oh, it's really close. Oh, let's hope in it.
So I thought Silva was lapped. He wasn't showing up on my timings.
No,
it was McGlade on for me and Mebius, but Silva did pop in as soon as he crossed the line. So that's Ben Horrell 13th, Lewis McGlade 14th, and Victor Silva rounding out the points.
In P15 there. Phil, do you want to quickly run through the remaining drivers?
As many as I can. Yep, Hansco Mebius, 16th place, just missing out there for points. Rich Scott and his teammate Jack Nichols at Gerard T, 17th, 18th. Ollie Pelkinen down in 19th. Paul Joseph, 20th, Royal Blue Racing. Chinanian, 21st, THR. Simon Smith, back at Market Brigade, up in 22nd, 23rd. Sam Jones, Laura Motorsports, in 24th, with Ben Willis, 25th. Oh, blimey, it's a trio of Bens. Ben Willis, 25th. Ben Warren, 26th. Ben Haxton, 27th. 28th, Bob Mason. 29th, Jesper Kohlberg. He obviously went quite a bit backwards. I thought he started quite high up.
He did, and he had a flip moment. So evidently he was able to get his car repaired, which is quite impressive. So well done to the Smile Power pit crew for fixing that one up.
Picking up with Pestovs in 30th. Hollywood 31st. Phillips 32nd. And then 2 accidents in Dave Van Gils and Mark Whips rounding up 34 drivers.
I'm just thinking, with Jesper Tolberg, you said that he flipped and took the front of his car off.
Indeed.
Where he was, he would have had to gone up the track against the flow of traffic. Oh, is there just being told that there was a cut through?
So he would have been able to get himself into the pit lane.
But
so,
it might have still been a bit dangerous.
Potentially, but at the end of the day, after as I recall the accident at the time, there would have been space. He dropped out obviously because being flipping in the air and whatnot. But good to see that he carried on and finished. So he won't be last as he starts here in the second race.
Mark Wicks mentioned that his game minimised on that one. I mentioned he went straight on, looked like it was lag. No, his game was the sound of gravel.
Oh dear, never good when the power of vision is robbed from you from some Windows process going, I would like to be seen now. Anyway, that is the joy of sim racing, the odd factor that you would perhaps not see in the real world. Anyway, Tom, let's briefly think and surmise race 1 if we can in the few moments we have here before race 2. What a superb set of drives from a number of drivers in the field. Fair fighting, brilliant conservative approaches, and all in all, just pace. It's superb. Superlatives are not enough.
Indeed, it was a great battle between the top, I'd say 2 to 3, because Peter Borlak, he was in a bit of battles towards the start, but as soon as the battles for second and third started playing out, he just pulled away. Fantastic drive. He managed to keep his head cool. He kept calm. He kept going, and took a win. But I think it was nearly 10 seconds by the end of it, which over 18 laps is incredible. It is,
especially obviously he had a moment early on in the race. He was able to build that up in about 12 or so laps, almost a second a lap at points. So yeah, again, superb drive as he's done so far all season. In fact, perhaps a scary moment to mention. We are now actually halfway through this season. We're in round 8 of 17, and well, we're about to start race 2, so we're on the halfway point. Where's the time gone? We've seen some amazing races in our first, 8 rounds, and long may they go on.
So 2 of the rounds were not broadcast.
Yes, unfortunately, but still, some great racing all round. So congratulations, of course, to everyone who's taken part so far. As we've now got the final few moments here, or few minutes, I should say, of warm up. So obviously, yes, I was just about to mention the reverse grid. We don't know what the number will be, but anywhere from 15 to 20 will be put on pole position, and of course, everyone will be flipped round there. So, as we have a few moments here, let's briefly recap last time out and Montreal in Canada. As I mentioned earlier, our dominant leaders up until that point were Scott Beresford and James Johnson, winning, being consistent, getting points every single round. And then all of a sudden, both of them didn't score points in either race due to various calamities and dramas. Really put a dent in their championship challenge. As he just did here, Petter had a great drive. Truly some superb drive in race 1. Built up a gap, maintained it, and won in race 1. And as I mentioned again, during the first race, Junt had a superb race 2. Nice and calculated, nice and sensible. And he got a great win in race 2. And all that drama and changing ground and shenanigans that radically changed the leaderboard. Junt led the championship going into this round, followed by Burlap, followed by Turberg, followed by Beresford, followed by Johnson. And I'm sure as the races go on, we will have more great battles from these 5 drivers. And it's great to see that they're all so close together. Just a mere 30 or so points before this evening, separating those 5 drivers. So we may be halfway through, but I'm sure we're going to have more great battles from those 5 in particular. And of course, let's not discount anyone else in the top 10, putting in solid, consistent results. That is motorsport for you. Consistency is the key.
Interesting to see how the weather unfolds as well for race 2. Obviously, it was dry at the end of race 1, and it was currently dry during warm-up. Whether it stays the same for the actual race itself.
Indeed, and this may be where some of the drivers were gambling on dry setups. If they've got their dry setup still, they will be pleased. If it stays like this, we'll have to wait and see. Tom, any word on the Twitter front?
I've been refreshing it every now and again. Nothing.
Oh.
If you have tweeted us and we haven't picked it up, we do apologise, but some things do slip through, and I am not very good with Twitter.
Oh dear.
I have got the hashtag up, and I am just refreshing manically now, and we've got nothing.
Oh, we feel so in love, so sad.
Failed them.
Oh dear. Anyway, if you have anything you want to chip in, questions, who knows? We'll hopefully have interviews after race 2 here. Feel free to chime those in, hashtag GPVWC, at GPVWC, and we will be sure to read those out when we get our opportunity. Anyway, final minute and a bit here as we've got final drivers completing their warm-ups for race 2 here. Just trying to see if actually our reverse grid winner has been picked.
It was number 15, Victor Silva, I believe.
Superb. So he'll be starting on P1. Means our top 15 are reversed, and we will be able to read through that order in just a moment. So just looking at the lap times coming in here from some of the drivers as they are just warming up here. Petter Burlak immediately on the pace in just 2 laps, and he's gone quickest with a 1:18. So that's a good second quicker than they were in qualifying in those mixed conditions. And as we're seeing in free practice and warm-up before the rain came, they were even quicker than that. So if it stays dry, we'll have to wait and see what happens with the weather. Always that wild card factor. So, Phil, what are we looking forward to in race 2? Are we looking forward to drivers being moved around, potentially dry conditions? What do you think about?
So Roy Virgil started 6th, which is going to start in about 10th, 14th-ish.
Something like that.
So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, he started 19th last race. It'll be interesting to see if he can have a same start as before and really kind of get back onto those guys in front of him as quickly as possible. Also, Victor Silva, on pole. It'll be interesting to see if he can cope with the pressure of pole. It's a shortish run down to turn 1, but then you go uphill. It's always an interesting idea. Especially that tight right-hander.
I was going to say, with that uphill, your braking distance will be reduced because you have gravity pulling you back down and slowing you down. But we did see in race 1 a lot of people going wide, trying to utilise all of that uphillness, and it didn't quite go to plan. So I wonder if we'll see any people go wide, hit the anti-cuts, and maybe cause a bit of ruckus.
We'll have to wait and see. Interestingly, we've got conflicting opinions on weather. We've got some drivers doing rain dance, some not. We'll have to see what the weather gods have got for us now. And at the moment, it is dry. It is dry as we now let the cars get out onto the grid. We've got 20 or so seconds as the drivers now form up for our second race here to kick off the second half of the season. Another 18-lap race round the wonderful A1 ring here. So
My one to watch is going to be Roy in ninth.
And that's a good point. Yeah. Drivers to watch. Who do we think is going to do well?
Seeing as where people are, I think it's going to be between Beresford, Johnson, Junt, Holmes, Strahan and Burlak.
Well,
they're all in a clump together, 10th to 15th.
I was just about to say the same thing, but I would say keep an eye on Roy Verzilli as well, because he had a stormer of a race there. We'll have to see what he can do in the dry conditions. Anyway, our cars are now on their parade lap, their formation lap for the second race. In pole position, we have Victor Silva, followed by Lewis McGade in the first Aurora Motorsports car. He's followed by Ben Horrell, who had a great race run here. He's starting in P3. He's followed by the Playseat racing car of Lee McLaughlin. In P5 is Timo Toyker in the Velocity racing car, followed by James Kirk in P6 in the first best pick from the free car. Adam Osger is in the first YTF1 car. He starts P7, followed by Mike Schroet. Racing Team Schroeter car, another good starting position for him here. He's followed by Roy Verzilli, and as we just mentioned, P10 we have Scott Beresford, followed by P11 James Johnson. P12 is David Yunt, P13 is Jonathan Holmes, followed by Eric Strahan in P14, and finally we have Peter Burlak starting P15 off the back of that reverse grid. Bill, do you want to go from 16th?
Yeah, I'll go 16 to 30 or something like that. Hansco Mevis is 16th, Enterprise GP, and we've got the two JRT cars, Rick Scott and Jack Pickles in 17th and 18th. Ollie Pelkman down in 19th, Viking Racing with Paul Joseph, Robert's Tail from Royal Blue Racing. 21st, Tianyan, we'll get that right one day, THR. That's the one. Him.
Thank you, Toby
Simon Smith, 22nd, at Market Brigade. Richard Coxon, 23rd, the Cosmo with Sam Jones, Aurora Motorsports. And then we have the trio of Bens. That's Willis in 25th, Warren in 26th, and Hackson in 27th. Terence Reps 28th, Jesper Tolberg 29th, and Kostovs in 30th. And then I might as well finish the first call. Tom took so many cars for his ones to watch. 31st, Ollie Woods. 32nd, Justine Esmeraldes. Polaris in 33rd, and Wicks in 34th, hoping his game doesn't minimise.
And don't forget Wopke Hoekstra in 39th, who will be starting 35th. He is underneath all of our names. At least I get to say one person's name.
Well spotted!
Well spotted indeed.
Yes,
we completely missed him there.
When you said that you'd do the final five, I was like, but what about Wopke?
Well spotted, well spotted.
Wopke,
anyway.
However you pronounce it, I do apologise. We're rubbish at saying names, aren't we?
It's not our strong suit. Anyway, we have our leaders. They have been pulled up for a few moments here. We've got Whoopke. He's just coming around the final corner now to take his position.
He's actually in his position.
Is he? Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
well,
right
we
at the
wait.
back.
We wait for the lights to warm their lovely red glow. We've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, 4, 5. And we are racing, long lights, but great start there by looks of it from Silva. He's been able to get away well. Meanwhile, he's under attack from McGlade, who's got an even better start. And look at Horrell, he's having a look. We've got 3 wide into turn 1. Silva being very wise. McLaughlin looking pretty amorous. Looks like Lewis has gone.
McGlade's off.
Indeed, he got a little too deep there, and it's bumpy out there. You don't want to go there. Horrell leads as we head towards turn 2 or 3. I forget what number it is now. For the first time, it's turn 3, turn 2. Who knows? Horrell leads. That's the important thing. Horrell from Silva, from Schroeton. A great start there from Mike.
I think I saw collision at the back.
Oh, indeed, we've got a few. Yeah, we've got a few cars off there.
Simon Smith spun round it. The exit of turn 2.
Disaster for Simon Smith on the first lap here of 18. Meanwhile, we still have Horrell leading from Schroeton. Lee McLaughlin in the playseat car has been able to benefit from some of that drama.
Yeah, Victor Silva has missed the checkpoint. His timing error. He is in second.
He is in second. It is a timing issue, timing gremlin in the system. As we go round louder for the first time, Timu's gone too deep. He's having a lovely time out in the sand over there, but he's lost several positions now. As Victor now takes second place back once he's crossed the third timing line. Mike Schroeton looking very amorous. Meanwhile, Ben Horrell, he's gone a bit wide into A1. Silva, he's having a look. Not enough room. Schroeton capitalises. He's up into second. Verzilli on the march. He said to keep an eye out for him. He's up into P4. He's looking at P3. He's thinking about having a look into turn 1. Is he going to go late on the brakes? No, he knows that there's about 16 or so more laps. Let's keep the car on the road for now.
Schroeter just pushed Horrell wide for P1.
Indeed, and actually that's a point of 3.
Could go full wide here. Ooh.
Almost.
This is quite something to see so many cars going so hard and fast so quickly. Everyone is just about around there without too many dramas. It's all about just keeping your car in one piece for these initial laps.
Spin back there. Sorry, that's Sam Jones round at the exit of turn 2.
Good spot. Of our bunch to watch, David Yunt is currently the leader. He's up to P5. He's had a good start. He's closely followed by James Johnson. Scott Beresford is on the march. He's up into P10, just passing James Kirk there as that group goes through Power Horse.
Roy Virgil managed to get past Mike Schroeter.
Oh, somebody's wheel. That's his wheel that came off. Was that me?
No, we think we just saw a bit of wheel debris on the track. That's not ideal.
Well, we do have 2 retirements already. Richard Coxon and Huha Tuonainen. Sorry, I can't pronounce names.
It's Tuonainen in the THR car. Looks like he was the first retirement, so unlucky there in the second race being ended so early. Anyway, we've now completed 2 laps. We're on our 3rd here. Horrell still leads. The pack is right behind him though and breathing down his neck. Let's just keep it cool, calm, consistent and defend well, and you'll be able to hold on to this lead. Silver's having a look though. He's gone up the inside as we go into the little kink, which is turn 2. Running up the hill now, late on the brakes into turn 3. Who's going to get the move done? Looks like Horrell's got the job done. He's got that car stopping really nicely. He can be nice and aggressive.
Sorry, contact with Lee McLaughlin and Jonathan Holmes.
Indeed.
Exit turn 2.
Momentum loss for both of them, and the big beneficiary there is Strawn. Meanwhile, we have a change in our group to watch. We have James Johnson now leading from the Devon Yunt. So all go, very much so. So plenty to keep an eye on here, as we've got our leaders from last race already chasing down, bearing down on the leaders of this so far. Meanwhile, we've got a bit of a gap back through the midfield. We've currently got James Kirk bringing home the last points paying position, P15. Then we've got a huge gaggle of cars just behind him, just about to go through Lauda. I believe that's starting with Timu Toika. All these guys, of course, have a shout of points if any dramas happen up ahead.
Spin! Roy Virgil! Roy Virgil's off at A1.
Oh, he is indeed. Hopefully we might be able to get a replay on that. Was that just a small error? Oh, he's going to have to rejoin. This is going to be a bit dicey. Oscar Pitts.
It was an error, my mistake. It was not Schroeter that hit him. I think he put a powered. Oh, is this?
Silver turn 1. Silver turn 1 is got past Ben Horrell. Horrell went wide. I think he might have clipped a bit of an anti-cut trying to rejoin the track, but now Horrell's right behind Silver going up to turn 2.
Horrell, for my money, looked better on the brakes here last time around. Let's see, can he repeat it, go all the way around the outside? He's having a look. He's got that nut car round.
Oh! Contact!
Contact there, Tom, have a swig. Oh my goodness gracious me. Johnson is loving it though, because he's got the run, he's got the momentum, and surely he'll take the lead down into turn 4. Horrell on the brakes though has been mighty.
Contact, another drink, god damn it.
No space there, no space there. That gap was always disappearing. Thankfully everyone's kept hold of their wings for now. We don't want to have to add more wings in the form of an energy drink as we go around Power Horse towards the Lauda curve one more time. We've now got Johnson leading. He must be loving this. From Horrell, from Silver, from Yunt, who's evidently been able to benefit. In fact, Yunt in P4, he's having a quick look at Silver as we go down into Rinkt on this lap, and he's now pulled back in. He's having, I think, rear 1 perhaps. Can I get him into turn 1 up the hill? We'll have to wait and see. But
massive train.
Indeed, I was just about to say, we've got P1 all the way down to at least well, P10 almost in one line. All within
John's got past Holmes.
Good spot. No, well, I was just about to say, we have the first 10 cars within 3 seconds of one another. That's how close this is so far, and we're only a quarter of the way in. We've got plenty of time here to go. Horrell, late on the brakes. He had a little bit of a squirm, but he's kept it together. He's still on Johnson's gearbox. This one isn't over yet. It's what we like to see about these reverse grid races, going a little bit of unexpected variety into the mix.
Anyway, yet another retirement. Ben Hackerson, DNF, and Jack Nichols suspension damage. All Johnson first, second.
Oh, he's going to try the outside round at Power Horse there, not quite working from this time. Meanwhile, we've got several cars side by side through Power Horse. evidently trying to reenact some of the great moves that Strawn had through their last race. Not paying off this time, but we've got Burlak right on the gearbox of Schroep, the P7 and 8. Dicing, we've got Scott Beresford in the mix. He was having a quick look. I don't think you get grief through there. A little bit of contact, no dramas though. Can Schroep get it all tidied up for A1? Yes, he can. Lovely stuff. I think Scott's got a better run though than any of them. We'll have to see, can he make anything of it? Burlak is dropping off a bit there from Schroep as we run up the hill here for the first time. Here on the 6th lap. 5 so far. We are not even a third of the way
Had
through.
a good run at Silver.
Indeed, for third place, Victor Silver and David Junt. Junt did get a good run out of turn 1, but he's now being hounded by Jonathan Holmes. Junt down the inside of Silver!
Oh!
Was that contact?
I think there was contact. I think they gave themselves enough room just about.
Holmes through as well, now looking on Junt, maybe the outside of turn 3.
Indeed, and now Silver is under attack from Strawn. All go as the leaders from the last race are trying to pass the leaders in this.
I'm counting that, I'm drinking. Don't get me drunk, guys.
As we now run into Power Horse, these cars all are still incredibly close. Thankfully, no damage or dramas yet. Our top 10 is now separated by a mere 4 seconds, so the gap is not exactly widening. Johnson does have a little bit of a cushion now, a 3/10 cushion to Horrell. Yunt, though, is now on the march. He's going to try and take himself another race 2 win. As we're down into Rint. Oh! Yunt very late on the brakes, very brave. He's just about kept that one together. Can he get the inside for A1? Ooh, he does, but Horrell keeps the car running a little bit wider, and he's got the momentum and the line. He's now being Yunt being attacked by Holmes, having to compromise himself on the exit there. Has he got the move done? I would say.
Oh, Strawn! Crashy! Contact Strawn's round. Drink.
Strawn hit the back of Silver, and then I think Schroten's managed to knock him round a bit more, but.
So dramas there, as I'm sure, with so many cars in close proximity, there was bound to be a bit of contact with a bit more ramification. As we now look back towards the leaders, it looks like Horrell is really under attack from the train. Yunt has got a lovely exit, and he's now pulling Holmes alongside. We'll have to see if Horrell's able to keep the car, or get the car stopped as we go into turn 4 here. Yunt late on the brakes. Oh, I think there may have been a little touch there. Nothing too drastic. Horrell doing a superb job defending that Cosmo car. And he's having none of this. No, leaders from the last race, you have to pass me fair and square. Oh,
John Horrell! Oh, down the
lovely,
inside.
Lovely.
My dentist keeps telling me not to grind my teeth. This isn't helping.
Yes, well, as we go through louder, that was a superb move from Yunt there. Just caught Horrell napping a bit. Holmes is now feeling a little feisty. He wants to get alongside. Can he have a look down into Rint? Oh, he's got just about a car's width. I don't think he'll be able to do much from there. Horrell covers Rint this time round. He's going to focus on getting a good exit here through A1.
And look back from Holmes, Petter Broliak.
Indeed, good spot. All filtering through here.
Holmes and Horrell.
Indeed, looks like Holmes has got that move done.
Oh, he's gone wide.
Should be okay. Just about gathered that one together.
Holmes on the way back though.
Indeed, a little bit of a poor exit there from Holmes. Obviously having to compromise his line. Horrell's through. Can he get it done on the brakes?
Petter on the outside of Holmes.
Oh,
he's been pushed out wide.
Yeah, he was given enough space to go, no, you're not going all the way around here. You're going onto the curb, good sir. And that was the end of that matter for this lap. But meanwhile, good retaliationally driving there from Horrell. He's not going to allow, he's not going to take being passed lightly. No, he's going to attack into the next corner and get the place back. Great stuff.
Belzil's back up to 12th place. He's currently fighting Koika in 13th, with Laris in 14th, very close as well. I mean, look at Koika as well. And going a bit further back, currently go for the point at the moment.
Holmes and Horrell going up the hill.
Holmes
and Horrell, third position. And now Brojak looking up the hill towards Rint. He's go. Don't touch. Don't go wide either. You saw what happened to Tolberg.
Just about enough space. Just to get these cars through.
That was Schroten, sorry. Schroten managed to get past Brojak through Rint.
Lovely move. From there, Schroten.
Meanwhile,
he's
David
down the inside. He's got ahead of Horrell. Schroten up to 4th.
Very opportune driving, but it's working for him, so why not do it? Meanwhile, Yunt has set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 17.8. That's the fastest we've seen so far tonight. As we now run up towards turn 3, we've got fights all over the place. Beresford is left very late on the brakes. Has he got it stopped? Just about. Silver being shuffled down the order there a bit. Horrell is not giving up, though. He's got the run here on Schroet now to turn 3 after being passed. He's not having any of this. No. He's fighting hard for some points. Good on him. Has he got the braking done right? He has, but it looks like Trent's just been able to leave the car, hang it out round the outside.
Brilliant, down the inside, optimistic.
It's going to be a closing gap. Oh, I think he's had to back out of that. I think that's wise. Through Power Horse. Can he do anything through Lauda? I think it'll be a bit far back to try anything this time around. Meanwhile, Beresford is making hay while the sun shines. Now the sun does shine, and he's being able to follow on all of this as well. Anyway, while we've been...
Change the lead. Johnson down into A1, side by side.
Oh, it's still side by side. Good spot, gentlemen. Lovely stuff. Johnson continues to lead, but by less than a tenth of a second. The gap all the way down to 10th place is now up to 7 seconds. So once the leaders have got through, everyone's starting to fragment a bit. We are halfway through this race here. The drivers are on their 10th lap of 18. Here we have Yunt and Johnson running up towards turn 3. They're going through the kink of turn 2 now. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? I think it might be a little late move. No, they think better of it. And that's why they're leading the races, and I'm not. So, as they're now running down into turn 4...
Petter's kind of fighting Paul there. Very late pull out. He's fighting for fifth. Is he going to get? He's technically ahead. Just nope. Now he's not. It's going to be an interesting run down to this right hander. We've got the inside. It's going to break slightly later.
Oh, a little lock up. A little lock up, but he's got it just about sorted out there.
Troughton and Holmes up ahead fighting each other as well.
Indeed. Mike feeling very feisty. Indeed, he was quick during practice and warm up. He's evidently got the car working really nicely in these dry conditions. Oh, Holmes just leaving him enough space as they enter Lauda there. But Mike's still well and truly on the gearbox as they exit, running over the brow of the hill here into Sector 3 and heading towards Rindt. Meanwhile, we still have Yunt and Johnson very close together. Not side by side through A1 this time around, but as close as make no difference.
Side by side across the line. Oh, less than a tenth.
Again,
Johnson's got a better top gear here.
Yeah, he does. Great spot there, Phil. He's either running less downforce or he's got that car geared a little bit better.
Wide.
Both went a little wide there. I think still just about on the curve though, so that's all nice and legal. All go here.
Troughton still as well in second, third and fourth.
Just to mention, some of the midfield have been so focused on the back markers. A great drive so far from Polaris, who's driven all the way from practically the back of the grid. He's up into 14th, just behind Scott Beresford, who hasn't been able to make too greater inroads so far. Beresford's just spun, I hear, so that's why he's gone back. So pity there for Scott, but he'll keep fighting. He's still in the hunt for some points. We had a little bit of movement. James Kirk, he's been able to get up to 11th. Vasili's recovered into 10th, so good recovery there. As we now look back at our leaders, Yunt and Johnson still very close as they go through Power Horse.
So yeah, Beresford and Horrell kind of came very close together. I think it's through your Power Horse where Beresford went round and lost a few places.
Yeah, it's all very close through this second sector. Very key to get your lines right. Keep plenty of momentum. Be smooth on power application, and you can see some of these drivers doing it better than others. Junt, goodness gracious me! If he was any closer, he would have been lifting the back of Johnson's car there as they go over the line. The gap has gone up, but not by much. It's now a tenth of a second as they go into turn 1 for the first time here on lap 12. And Johnson had a little bit of a moment there, I think, and Yunt's been able to get a much better exit. He's alongside as they run through 2 in a moment.
It's that top gear every time.
It is indeed. Good.
Junt's got more downforce. We've been through the tight section of Sector 2. He's got on the inside. Oh, can he get it stopped?
He's got it stopped. Oh, on the
bit of a touch. Drink.
Big touch there. Thankfully, still both going. A good old tank slapper there. Just about trying to get the power down. Desperately trying to get ahead. But Johnson, as said, he's got that greater top end speed. Being able to cover these positions. You can have all the downforce, but if you're not quick in a straight line, you're going to be eaten alive.
But through Sector 2 is where Junt has the advantage. He's right on the back going up the hill towards Rindt.
Indeed. And speaking of what's going on for the final podium place.
Fight for first into Lauda, I think it is.
Oh, yes, indeed. Into the Lauda curve. Junt got moved on there. Lovely stuff.
But is it going to be a fifth gear and slipstream going to bring it back for Johnson?
It looks it, though. It looks it.
To the outside. You're going to try and cut back in.
Don't run wide, don't run wide.
We're going to focus on the power application here on the exit of A1 as they run up the hill. Yunt has got to be able to defend into here and then get a good exit to have any chance of keeping Johnson behind as they run into turn 3 this time round. He's done the first part of the job. Has he got a good exit? He's run a little wide. We'll have to see what the slipstream can do for Johnson. He's already gaining as we haven't even got to the kink of turn 2 yet. So this is going to be interesting. Who's going to be late on the brakes? The last of the late breakers. Johnson's pulled out. He's going up for the move. They brake about the same time. Oh, it looks like Johnson used a bit more of the road, and Johnson's got the job done. Lovely stuff.
Oh, I just see Petra in the background going a bit wide at turn 2.
Yes, indeed. I was going to mention a second ago, before we had that little bit of drama, we've had a change in the last podium position. We've now got Holmes in the second Townsend racing car. Clearly going to help the Townsend boys build up their constructors' lead. He's moved up to third for Mike Schroeter, but these two still very, very close, having a good scrap. Meanwhile, Ben Horrell in the Cosmo car in P6. He's just had Burlak get by him, but he's got a little gap now, second and a bit to Victor Silva. So we'll have to see how that one pans out. Meanwhile, Silva, he's under attack by 4 drivers at once as they go through Lauda. All nose to tail.
Strawn 8th, Ozil 9th, and then Hans Mobius in 10th. And they're all going to, all this is going to be very interesting to the second to last corner because they're all slipstreaming everyone else. Ozil drives past Strawn. Mobius is also looking at doing the same thing in the last corner.
Lovely stuff. Job is a good one. A nice one, Mobius in that Enterprise car. Vasili's having attack on Silva as they go across the start-finish line. As we're nearing 75% completion here. We've got that was always a bit of a tango, which was never going to go into a quick step. That did not quite work out. 2 to 1 do not go.
Jumped on the inside for turn 1, turn 2 even, P1. Oh.
Good spot. This fight continues.
John's got it back. John's got it back.
He has indeed. That top speed helping Johnson, of course, into there, but looks like Johnson brake a little bit earlier. Use that downforce to help get the car slowed. We're about to catch up.
He's braked a bit late. He's gone wide.
Oh, he has.
He's kept it off the grass. He can get it back. He can get it back.
He has. He's kept it on the island. Meanwhile, Holmes is gaining ever closer every single corner, every single lap to help his teammate out. Put a bit of pressure on Young. Cause a mistake. Now Johnson get that win.
So looking at that, Victor Silva in 8th, Mobius 9th, but Ozil 10th, although he's just been passed by Beresford, 10th. And even the likes of James Kurt and Toyka are joining that little party.
Spin! We just had a spin there at it was Beresford. He's had another bit of bad luck here this evening. Unlucky there, Scott. Going through Lauda, looks like he just lost the back, and he's in fact retired. I wonder if he got stuck in the gravel. We'll have to wait and see.
He's had the back of Ozil as he started spinning. I think he's already spinning though.
Unbalanced the car, just a little bit of oversteer. How cruel a way to go out. Oh well, the race continues. Someone will gain some points there. But as we now look back to our leaders, Johnson is leading again. Yunt is pulling out. Is he going to have a go? I don't think so. Looks like we got the back marker. That was McLaughlin in the play seat. He's pulling out the way, nice and sensibly.
Shame for McLaughlin. He was up in 10th in the early laps. He must have had an instant.
Awesome.
Back down in, I believe, 30th.
The pits.
Ah, right. Oh, we've got a spinner. We have a spinner we hear.
Mobius in 13th has spun. Look.
Yes, indeed, he's definitely lost some positions. He's down to 13th.
Driving up the inside of Silver, and then on the exit, there's too much power, and round he went.
Unlucky there, but he's had some good pace so far. He has a few laps to try and catch up to the next car, which is Timo Toyko. He's only a few seconds up the road, so still plenty to play for. Anyway,
Johnson the back of Johnson.
Leaders,
yep.
Yes, indeed. You want to carry on with that, Tom?
No, I think you would have had it covered.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Well, anyway, as I might have had it covered, Johnson's definitely got it covered. Going through A1 there, Yunt, he's having to dig deep in his arsenal. We know he's got a good strategic head on him, thinking about where to make that move stick. And as we go through turn 1 for the 16th time, Johnson, he was a little wide there. Yunt is going, I'll have a piece of this, thank you very much. Right on the gearbox. No doubt going to help him get to his top speed. Will Johnson have a bit more in hand though? Oh, late on the brakes. Late on the brakes. They keep it out of one another's way though, and they're both round turn 3 successfully. Yunt is on the gearbox still though of Johnson. This fight is going to go right to the bitter end. It's still only a 1/10 of a second after 15, 16 laps. It's quite incredible. Meanwhile, all this is going on. We've got an almighty fight going on for P8 coming down into P4. We've got Silva, Polaris, and Verzilli. Oh, we've got a little bit of a switcheroo going on. We've got Toyka going around the outside of James Kirk as well in the background. That was
watching it. He's got the inside now for the left hander. He should have just about have it. Yeah, I think he's covered it. And I think the one was they two are fighting each other while they really want to kind of patch up those 3 ahead to get some serious.
Johnson's wide. Johnson's wide into out of Rin, and he just narrowly avoided the anti-cut, and that could have sent him flying.
Thanks for the update, Tom. Meanwhile, we're just watching there as Polaris. He had a moment very similar to Beresford's by the looks of it.
It looks like actually he hit the back of Virgil and that actually caused the spin that time round. Virgil up into 9th, trying to take the silver in turn 1 for 8. Is he going to break slightly later? He has he got it? I think he has, yep.
Jump down the inside turn 2, Johnson.
Indeed, lovely move. He's got that braking sorted out. Meanwhile, Holmes is now with this scrap, with this fight. Who would be betting they've probably got the same top speed?
We've got this lap and one left as Johnson takes the lead. But all jumps fighting. I'm questioning whether you let Holmes have a go the last lap. See if he's got a. We get Holmes up there and work together.
We'll have to see if team orders do play a factor.
Johnson, I think he just hit the back of Junt there.
But yes, as things are progressing, these cars, the tyre wear isn't great, but still, you won't have as much rubber as you would do when you start the race. So a little slide here, a little slide there. As we've seen, it's cost drivers points, or more points they could have potentially gotten. So all to watch for here. We've got the first 3 drivers now covered by a second. And we have Junt, who seems to be pulling a little bit of a gap. It was 4/10 going over the last sector marker. It is now still 4/10. The gap has remained the same. Is this the opportunity he needs to break the little fight he's been having here with Johnson? We'll have to see as they now run through turn 1 towards turn 2 and turn 3.
Well, it looks for he's got a big enough gap down the straight for Johnson not to have a go.
Indeed, and they now have to watch out because now Johnson and Holmes are going to have a fight. This might end up in tears. We'll have to see.
Oh, John! Oh, he's locked the race. He's gone off wide. Johnson and Holmes through both tank cannons overtake the THR.
Oh, that's bitterly unlucky. I'm sure a little bit of wear was a factor there. I was almost going to say I think he's got this one in the bag if he got the car stopped there. Thankfully, I didn't. Indeed, perhaps even the commentator's thoughts cursed there. But no, I was more concerned there that Holmes and Johnson were getting a bit close and frisky, but the Tascan guys now have a 1-2 maximum points here in race 2 that they could achieve. Good stuff. Meanwhile, let's not hasten to forget, Peter Burlak is only in P4, so he's not all that far away. He could still be there to scoop up some points if there's any dramas between these front 3.
Indeed, and Holmes got
much better exit.
He has indeed. Could this be a last?
Back. Yeah.
I think so. I think wise. You don't want to cause a moment, cost your team all the points. As Johnson comes round A1 for the final time, Holmes close in pursuit. A great 1-2 and some weaving there to complete the race. James Johnson, your race winner of race 2 here in Austria. Followed by Jonathan Holmes from Tansken, and it's a 1-2 for them there. Followed by David Young after a great fight there. Everything put on the line there. A great podium finish from there to back up his win from Canada. Peter Burlak, a great finish there in P4. Followed by Mike Schroten, great racing. Ben Horrell, I think my star of race 2 in the Cosmo Autosport car. Wonderful defending, hard and fast, fair racing. He finishes in P6. Roy Verzil, he finishes in P7 after that spin. And he's followed by Victor Silva, Timo Twyka, and James Kirk to round out the top 10. Phil, you want to take it from here?
Hans Gomibius getting 11th, by DP. Stran in 12th, Gil Power. Third, Polaris, in 13th, with Ollie Felton in 14th. And the last point position was Sam Jones for Motorsports in.
I was just about to say, Strachan was up in 6th position after his spin earlier in the race, and on the final lap he got wide coming out of Rindt going into A1 and hit the anti-cut and did exactly what Tolberg did and flew into the air, and he managed to land wheels down, but he did hit the barrier and it cost him, I think it was 6 positions in the end.
Unlucky for him there just to lose some positions right at the end, but that is racing. Congratulations, of course, to all our finishers tonight and to our point scorers. I'm sure a very good evening of racing for those of you who've been able to bring away some championship points there. So congratulations, one and all. So that is our 2 races this evening here at the A1 ring. I hope you have enjoyed them. We'll just wait a moment for drivers to bring their cars back to the pits, and we'll hopefully have some interviews for you shortly. So gentlemen, race 2. Again, more fantastic racing. We've had a good evening of racing tonight, so well done to all the drivers out there. Tom, Bill, what are your highlights?
Wanting Roy to go higher, I'm lucky with that spin. I was hoping he could really he was a real mover and take the lead tonight in both races. 19th up to, I think about 5th in race 1, and then a decent 7-point place position in race 2.
What about you, Tom? What were your highlights?
Just the battling in general. I mean, there was pretty much non-stop action. It's something we like to see. I mean, we've had some boring, kind of uneventful races over the past 7 rounds that we've had, but this one's just definitely one for the highlights.
Absolutely. And what I really like is that there was no silly driving. There was no, being childish. Oh, I won't let you get by now. No, it was all clean, fair, and indeed, even in the chat, as some of the drivers are discussing here, some of the best racing they've had in Formula Challenge. So great stuff, and I'll reiterate, well done to everyone who's finished and got some points. So I'm pleased to say indeed that we do have some drivers with us for interviews, which is wonderful, wonderful stuff. So let's start by interviewing James Johnson, race winner there of race 2. Congratulations, James. Talk us through race 2 for you.
Oh, wow. I'm sweating. That was hard fought. I was so lucky that I had straight line speed, because through the S's and that, through the long curves, I just had no grip at all. I was so slow through there. So I was pretty much holding up David, but I knew that if I could just keep him just far enough back, I can just keep my speed down the straights to keep him ahead of me. But wow, that was interesting.
Well, it was interesting to watch as well, and as you rightly say, it was clear that there was definitely a conflict in straight line speed to downforce, and just getting the job done there. And it was great to see both yourself and your teammate, of course, bring home a 1-2 in race 2. That's really going to help you out in the constructors.
Yeah, we haven't had a good time recently. Me, admittedly, the most. Canada getting DNF and not a great start in race 1. And before that, I hadn't had a good few races. But I'm happy that I'm finally back on the top stuff of the podium.
Great stuff. Now let's just have a quick chat here to our P2 finisher here, David Yunt. Great to talk to you again, David. A great race in race 2 in Canada, and another great race here. Just unfortunately, just to be pipped at the post there. How was race 2 for you?
I finished third. It's a tough one. I was a bit deceptive not getting pole. I was stuck behind some cars on my fastest lap, so I just missed out on that. Then made the mistake into turn 1, and then couldn't get higher than 4th in the end because of the rain. But at least this time, no disco, no wrong tire choice. It was really okay. And the second race was, well, Peter got points on me, so I had to get some back again. And, well, start was really great. I was quickly up into top 10, but it took too long for my liking. But got up to second after a really hard struggle, and then noticed could I gain up to JJ. Moved in on him, and then we were like, I don't know, I was his shadow. I was his shadow for 10 laps or more. I was just sitting there and wondering if I can pass him on some turn and then keep it ahead on the S's. I could beat him. And then I managed to do it. And then we were on the last lap. Second turn, I had a too late braking move. My car was nearly spinning. I just managed to keep it, but I had to counter steer. Went left, and yeah, well, that's my win gone. And I made sure I got third ahead of Peter at least and get 1 point back. So I think I can't be too unhappy with this, and well, I'm still first in the championship, and I will try to keep it this way.
Yeah, and yes, it was a great race to watch, and as I was just saying before you guys hopped into the broadcast channel here, what I really like to see is it was fair more than anything. Both you guys were giving each other plenty of room, you're being respectful, and it's what we like to see. So from myself and probably everyone who's watching, thank you very much for some great racing, and again, congratulations on a great haul of points. Right, so also joining us, we have Eric Strawn, who's had some strong racing tonight. Eric, how was your racing for you this evening?
All in all, very good. Race 1, I got stuck with James, and we were having an awesome battle, and Peter get away. But still managed to win that fight, and got P2 in the end. And then race 2 was I made a really good start and was climbing up the field nicely, and then. But then I made a little mistake into turn 1 and hit the back of, I think it was Victor Silva, and spun, backed it down to 11th, climbed myself back up to 5th, 6th, something like that. Just 2 seconds off of the Mike Schrodenhose in front, and then I hit the anti-cut in the final corner, the final lap, so did a half semi-roll and backed it into the wall, which was nice, and finished 12th instead. So all in all, very good. It was a lot of fun. I've watched a couple of these broadcasts, and they look like a lot of fun, and I didn't quite have the straight line speed that I may have wanted, but through Sector 2 the car was really good in general.
And that was one thing I did note early on. I mean, I had a quick run round just before we came onto the broadcast here tonight, and it was pretty clear that you got two very contrasting sector styles. You got 1 and 2 really quick, fairly flowing corners. You got sector 2 all about maintaining some pace and everything else. Was it a challenge to get the car set up nice to kind of compromise the two, or are you more interested in maximizing performance, say in sector 2, or what was your approach?
I just nicked someone else's setup and ran with that. I didn't do anything to set up. I just took that and ran. So I tried fiddling a bit with it, but I realized that if you take just a tiny bit of weighing off, it changes the balance completely, and I didn't really want to mess it with anything for race 2 because it was really good in race 1. So yeah, if I would have had more time, I probably would have tinkered a bit with it. But yeah.
Great. Well done, one and all. What I will ask all of you though, just before we start to sign off here for this evening, is the weather. It was great from our point of view to watch the weather play a hand, start to get a little bit slippy and slidey out there. What was the initial reaction from all three of you when you saw the rain out in the initial warm up and then the qualifying and then the race? And what was your reaction when you saw race 2 was lovely and dry?
Loved race 1, hated race 2. That was pretty much it. I was wanting it to rain so much. So as soon as I saw it rain, I was just like, yeah.
I had more downforce, so I wanted a bit of rain as well, but it was fun with it. It got a little slippery here and there, and everyone got caught out, so it was a nice little twist to it.
Great. How about you, David? I don't think David's there.
He's Swiss.
Well, it was not wet enough for me to have really thinking of rain tires, and one that was 10, I think, was okay to drive, but I did like the mixed weather. It's more of a challenge to the drivers that I couldn't show that last weekend that VSS but well.
Oh, well. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Again, congratulations to all of you. Great racing, and thank you very much for taking part. So, as we start to wrap things up here, Tom, Phil, final closing thoughts.
It was an interesting evening. There was a bit more contact in race 2 there, but it was generally a fair evening. Not too many incidents, and yeah, very very fun evening.
Indeed, and it was the first wet race of the career ladder, and seeing as the next round I believe is Silverstone, in Britain, it is going to be wet. Judging by the weather, because I'm living not too far from Silverstone, it has been wet all week here. So hopefully, in 2 weeks' time, it will be raining down here, and we can have a bit more excitement. Woo!
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just a little bit of extra unpredictability into what is already an incredibly unpredictable sport. Anyway, so, Tom, Phil, if you want to say your goodbyes.
Evening to everyone.
Hope you've enjoyed tonight's racing, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely, and I echo that. So I've been Matthew Williams. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for Formula Challenge at Silverstone. And of course, don't forget, we've got 2 more races from the A1 Ring this week. We've got Super Cup and Super League following tomorrow and Thursday. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time out on the racetrack.